if I never see my name in lights, if they don't cheer me, that's alright. If they never consider me great, and for fame and fortune I must wait. Lord, I'm happy just to know I'm in your will. Lord, I'm happy just to know I'm in your will. So if the president never calls and I'm not invited to the White House balls, if I never have houses in the land, and if wealth never hits my hands, I want you to know happy to know I'm in your will. Lord, I'm happy just to know I'm in your will. I'm in your will. Oh, I'm in your will. Oh, yes. In your will. That's all I want. I want to be in your will. I'm in your will. I'm happy in your will. Oh, yes. It pleases me to please you. All I want to do is make you smile, Lord. Safest place in the whole wide world. It's in your will. It's in your will. I'm happy just to know I'm in your will. Your will. I'm happy in your will. Nothing more I aspire, nothing more I desire than to be in your will. Oh, yes, I wanna be in your will. Whatever it takes, I wanna be in your will. I'm so happy in your will. In your will. I'm in your will. Oh, I'm in your will. Oh, yes. In your will. That's all I want. I want to be in your will. I'm in your will. I'm happy in your will. Oh, yes. It pleases me to please you. All I want to do is make you smile, Lord. Safest place in the whole wide world. It's in your will. It's in your will. I'm happy just to know I'm in your will. Your will. I'm happy in your will. Nothing more I aspire, nothing more I desire than to be in your will. Oh, yes, I wanna be in your will. Whatever it takes, I wanna be in your will. I'm so happy in your will. In your will. So if the president ever calls, and just in case I'm never invited to any of those White House balls, I want you to know I'm happy just to know I'm in your will.
Well, hello everybody. What another amazing Wednesday this is. Welcome to midweek worship and Bible study. I'm so thrilled to have you with me. Now, I need you to do me a favor. Would you text, tweet, inbox, whatever you have to do to invite someone to join us right here in this virtual worship experience. Today is going to be a phenomenal day of insight, information, revelation. Get your pen, your paper, your pads, whatever it is you have to do to secure some notes on that are going to help facilitate your faith walk as you move throughout this week. I am excited for what God's getting ready to do. Let's get ready to go in to the Word of God. Well, hello everybody. With another opportunity, with amazing opportunity to be able to come to you and to give you what I'd like to call this bonus session, part 4 of detaching yourselves from emotional vulnerability. If you haven't seen part 1, 2, or 3, then I want you to go back and I want you to certainly visit those. Earlier, we did part 3, and I've got so many questions and so many comments and so many concerns from part 3 that I thought I would come back and give you a bonus session. So I need you to share it. I need you to get as many people as you can to subscribe and to click the notification bell so that you can be notified every time there is a new update. So I want to pick up where we sort of left off about dealing with discomfort with vulnerabilities. None of us, I imagine, are incredibly comfortable with dealing with vulnerability, the act of letting down our guard long enough to establish or develop some sort of meaningful connection. The truth is, most people distance themselves from even their own emotions, and they prevent themselves from feeling their own emotions. So as you can imagine, then it's very difficult for them to process or even have empathy for the emotions of other people, which makes it impossible to engage with others in a way that has emotional intimacy and depth. The truth is, if you're dealing with people who are emotionally unavailable, they tend to shy away from conversations and circumstances that might demand a depth of intimacy from them. And it comes off, the signature of that is it comes off as if they don't trust you. But they have taught themselves, trained themselves not to trust, not to be open, to always be guarded. Because for a lot of people, they have been so used to relying on themselves and being self-sufficient. They've taught themselves to do that. That is the preventative mechanism psychologically that most tend to use in order to ensure themselves that they will never be hurt or damaged or abused or misused or taken advantage of by anyone. And so they create this depth. They define themselves by their ability to be self-sufficient. Now, the reality is that when you're dealing with people who are emotionally unavailable, they can never seem to get on the same frequency as you. Have you been wondering why it's always a struggle? It's always friction. It's almost like we're never on the same page. We never see eye to eye. We never have any degree of cohesiveness in the relationship or in the connection. And the reason that is more often than not is that the emotionally unavailable person always anticipates being let down. They almost predict being destroyed even further. They almost predict the damage. They literally brace for it. And because they anticipate being let down or hurt or damaged, from where they perceive to be beyond repair, they generally don't make the effort. And so whenever you're involved, engaged with people who don't necessarily seem to be making the effort, their effort is not matching yours, the level of intensity is off. You always seem to be more of the investor, more of the initiator in the relationship, then it's because they anticipate being hurt and let down. And so they don't make any real effort. They tend to stay around long enough to glean some kind of benefit, whatever it is. And then once the relationship dynamic changes and now places some demand on them interacting, engaging, initiating intimacy, being intense about the connection, then they generally, again, have this flight reaction. They leave because they'd rather leave than go to a deeper level with you. Now, it's interesting because I talked about in the last session how that when two people come together, that's already a challenge, right? Two different backgrounds, two different personalities, two different vantage points, two different histories, two different upbringings. There are a whole lot of things that are different about you two, but all of us, whenever we merge our lives or existence with anyone else, then we all carry each other. We all carry our own desires, expectations, and boundaries. And whenever any of those are uneven or not clearly defined, then chaos tends to ensue. And so whenever you are dealing with someone who is emotionally unavailable, it may cause you to start overthinking everything. And it'll cause you to overthink everything you do, everything you say, simply because you're nervous about losing them. And that's never a good posture to be in any relationship. You want to be at a place where you're wanted, where you are loved, where you are valued, where you are respected, where you are adored. And so emotionally unavailable people are simply incapable, in a broader scope of it, incapable of long-term relational investments. Their choice is always casual because commitment beyond their established comfort zone generally causes them to flee, causes them to detach, it causes them to literally disappear. They are inconsistent, they are evasive. And of course, I talked to you in the earlier session that a lot of this happens as a result of childhood experiences, childhood traumas, the lack of nurturing, and other issues that are more subtle that creates difficulty in the trusting or attaching to anyone. They've always had them to cling to. Mama wasn't there, daddy wasn't present, sibling relationship was not really tight, and so they've developed a psychological system of only trusting them, never attaching, only feeling as if it's them against the world. And so because of that, it has projected and carried out through their adulthood, and of course, carry through their relationships, which often is another reason or factor in them being as emotionally unavailable as they are. Unresolved issues from past relationships or losses. But nonetheless, you can ill afford to make a full throttle investment in anybody, in any relationship, once you come to terms with the fact that this person is going to be or is emotionally unavailable. And you know they're emotionally unavailable because one of the earmarks is they don't necessarily integrate you into their life or their daily existence. You've never really met their family, their friends, their coworkers. You don't even know if they know you exist. These persons generally keep you at a substantial distance. Like they don't want people that they're close with to get attached to you because they aren't sure you're going to be around in the future. That is what you must safeguard yourself against. Anytime you are having to wonder the role you play in a person's life, are you talked about? Are you discussed? Does anybody who means anything to them even remotely know that you exist? And chances are, if you have not been brought into that company or in that close proximity of people who are significant in terms of meaning to them, that is because they're not necessarily sure how much longer that you are going to be around. Because hear me, if anyone is keeping you guessing or in limbo as to the next time you're going to talk to them or when are you going to see them, chances are that you are not emotionally available, that you're connected to somebody who is emotionally unavailable, and it's going to be tragic in the long run. Because the truth of the matter is, when someone is there for you and is into you, they want to talk to you, and they're going to make a very aggressive effort. They want you to know I love you. They want you to know that I hear you. They want you to know that you are loved, you are valued. I see the worth in you. But if you are not getting that in return and you see no signs of it, then it could be your difficulty in admitting to yourself that maybe I made a bad call. Maybe my judgment was off. Maybe my loneliness caused me to kind of overlook certain red flags that had I paid more attention to, I could have avoided this particular interaction. Because emotionally unavailable people are usually filled with anxiety about being transparent and trusting anyone. Often there is this air of an excessive independence or self-sufficiency that I talked about earlier, and they use this psychologically to convince themselves that they don't need anybody. And hear me when I tell you, you don't want to be in any kind of relationship with a person who doesn't feel like they need anybody, because they're giving you the vibe that, hey, if it comes down to me and you, it's going to be me. It's all about me. I'm all in it for myself, and no one else matters. Now, again, this goes back to when you're dealing with people who are emotionally unavailable, they choose rather to have these undefined roles in your life, right? What are we? Well, why do we have to put a label on anything? We just are what we are. Or they may choose, well, we're just friends with benefits. But if someone refuses to define the relationship or talk about what you can both expect from each other while still wanting the benefits of it, it might be that you have an unavailable partner, which could potentially set you back. I mean, it's a high probability that that's going to end with you being hurt and you being left in the aftermath with regret because of your lack of ability, again, to discern if this was the right thing for you. But the truth of the matter is that you have to stop thinking that you can change somebody who's emotionally unavailable. Again, it has nothing to do with your level of attractiveness or your desirability. It's usually a deficient area that has not been healed or processed in the other person. Because emotionally unavailable people are generally impossible to modify. Now, it takes a lot of time for me to counsel people through this particular segment because they have this deceptive mindset that, well, my love should just change them. And they've never met anybody like me, and I'm the greatest thing that's ever happened to them. But it doesn't work that way. They're very difficult to modify, right? Because once their mind is set and once they are used to living the kind of way they lived in terms of for themselves. Of course, emotionally unavailable people have a strong signature of selfishness. Everything is about them. If it's not about them, they're not in it. If the conversation is not about them, then they are rarely interested in hearing it, because emotionally unavailable people are very difficult to modify their behaviors or their patterns, because they're always looking for something negative to latch onto in order to justify their illogical behavior. They seek perfection from you so that they can use your flaws as justification for ending things or not getting serious with you at all. Now that's the dilemma, because they will use what they perceive your flaws are, or they will use what your confessed flaws are as justification for not fully investing or creating any emotional depth between you two. And they feel justified in doing so because they always have a tendency to highlight what's negative, because what's negative about you becomes their ammunition and it becomes their exit strategy. So you want to be very, very careful who you are opening up to, who you are disclosing your life to, who you are being transparent with, who you are being vulnerable with, particularly at this stage in your life. Now, you have to start noticing the signs, because as much as you are investing, as great as your spirit is, as wonderful as your heart is, unavailable people, emotionally unavailable people, because their immediate instinct reaction is to leave, is to disappear or dissolve the relationship, instead of trying to work through the conflict. Now, this is critical to understand, because anybody who is available emotionally, they're all in it, they're all there for you. They consider the degree of investment of time they made. They consider how much they care about you, how far they can see you going in the future. And so rather than just throwing everything away at the sign of every little relational hiccup, emotionally unavailable people tend to choose to not work through conflict. Conflict is necessary. I tell people all the time that relational conflict is necessary. It shows the strength of the relationship. It gives you a measuring tool for the maturity of both of you. You know, like 6 months ago, we would have this argument. We'd have been yelling all over the place, slamming the doors, this person leaving. This is 6 months later. Now we recognize the investment. We recognize the potential of where this can go. And so what we do is we are mature enough to work through it, because otherwise you simply have bitterness, resentment, animosity, and you walk around in this anxious state all the time around each other. But when you have someone that is completely invested in you and in the relationships, one of the signs that you'll know it is their willingness to work through conflict. Because hear me, you are delusional if you think that two people are going to come together and it's just going to be a perfect mergence, no friction, no tension. No one's feathers are going to be ruffled. No one is going to be upset. No one is going to feel disrespected. The other one is not going to like the tone of your voice. The other one won't like the volume of your voice. You are sadly mistaken. Relationships are work, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. You know, it takes work to love you, right? So why are you expecting this person to come in and with just a little bit of orientation from you, come in and now they've mastered you? They mastered what you want, how you want it, when you want it, how you like it, what you don't like. It takes time to develop that. It takes time to create synergy. It takes time, work, energy, effort, sweat, tears. taking a break, walking away, breathing, getting some fresh air, coming back together. But at the end of the day, your commitment to be together trumps the conflicts that are trying to divide and trying to separate you. And so the problem that most people have is that they tend to want to rationalize a partner's poor behavior, particularly people who are emotionally unavailable. You make excuses for them and having way too much hope that they'll change if you just give them some more time. But the reality of it is how much more time are you going to give people to prove to you that they are a waste of your time? Now, hear me. In any relationship, patience and understanding is paramount. It is quite essential. It is probably one of the highest priorities. You got to be patient with each other, right? Again, always consider, she didn't grow up the way you did. He didn't experience what you did. She didn't have this advantage. You didn't have this exposure or experience. And so it takes patience. You know, I mean, initially you just look at each other, you love them. She's fine, he's handsome, bam, that's it. But it's so much deeper than that. If you're going to have a long lasting, sustainable, fruitful, functioning relationship in your life, then patience and understanding are important. But when you're dealing with someone who will never be able to reciprocate emotionally, it's a self-sabotaging path. When you are dealing with someone who will never be able to be reciprocated, you know, I don't care how much you love them. You can love them and love them and love them, you know, because all of us teach people how to love us, right? And maybe I'll do another session on that, because that's a whole lot of dynamics for that. But all of us teach people how to love us. And sometimes what happens is you'll try to be good to somebody. You'll be great to them. You want to be better to them than anybody in their life has ever been. And in your mind, you're thinking, as long if I am this good to her, this good to her, this good to her, then just she's going to turn around and just be that good to me. Ideally, that sounds amazing. But in reality, it just doesn't happen that way. Some people can love you instructionally. In other words, they see how you treat them, how you love them, how you respect them, how you honor them. And even if they've never exhibited those behaviors in any other relationship, they will see it modeled through you and mirrored through you. And then their whole psychology about it changes. And now they start treating you the way you're treating them. It's not manufactured, it's organic, because it's a behavior that's being modeled and mirrored in front of them. And so now they transform and start operating according to how you are treating them, right? But after a while, if you're giving, and the other person is doing all the taking, that's going to create, again, resentment. Because at some point you say, I'm doing all of this and you're doing nothing. You don't even have any intention of doing anything. Because what I found out that as long as you are a giver, there will be takers, right? Because there are people, they know you'll give. And your heart is pure. Really, to be honest, at the crux of it, it's that you just want love, right? You just want somebody to see who you are. You just want them to value. And so you just give. And you don't even want back what they're giving you. You just want to have that genuine love and that genuine connection. But once you realize that the person you're with, or even considering being with, does not have the ability to reciprocate emotionally, then you have to make a tough call in order to preserve your mental state, your mental capacity, and your heart. Because sometimes cutting someone off protects you from potential unrecoverable dysfunction. All right. And so when you're dealing with people who are emotionally unavailable, their instinct is to cut people off. And what they're doing is protecting themselves from getting close to people. But at the same time, when you protect yourself from getting close to people, it also distances you from anything meaningful, because you will have nothing meaningful if there is no connection, if there is no cohesiveness, right? And so on one hand, you say he hurt me, so I'm not trusting him again. All men are dogs. All men are crazy. I don't even trust them anymore. And then the woman doesn't treat you the right way, and you start to, well, I'm done with women. I'm done with real relationships. I'm gonna just be casual. I'm gonna have one night stand. I'm gonna just do that. I'm not investing any emotional attachment in it. But then the problem is, while you are trying to protect yourself and prevent people from getting close to you, you're also distancing yourself from anything meaningful in your life. Now, emotionally unavailable people have a lot of challenges. And when you discover that they don't have a lot of emotional range, then there's something threatening to them about emotions. Now, I'll give you that, and I'll go a little deeper. When you realize that the person doesn't have a lot of emotional range, right? They can't empathize, they can't be sympathetic, they can't place themselves in the other person's shoes, because how often have you said something and felt very strongly about it until you thought about it for a moment and said, well, let me put myself in her shoes. And now you know that what you did was wrong or not the proper way to handle it, right? And then you go back and try to apologize, you try to amend your ways, and then you try not to repeat that particular behavior again. But there are people who are so emotionally unavailable, they have no range of emotions. They have one emotional posture, and that's just unavailable. No, you're getting too deep for me. The language will tell you, they'll say things like, no, you're getting too deep. Now, let's not talk about it. That's too deep of a conversation. Generally, whenever your conversation starts getting deep or your inquisitions of them become more intense, they kind of want to laugh it off. They want to joke. They want to change the subject and don't necessarily want to talk about anything deep, because now they're in jeopardy of developing a depth of connection that they don't want, they're not ready for, or that they promise themselves that they will not let themselves experience again. And so to protect themselves from rejection, these individuals retreat to their, again, psychological path mentally to a place of restricted emotions. And so emotionally unavailable people have a tendency of needing to control the situation in order to prevent it from escalating into something more meaningful. Now, let me say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, people who aren't in touch with their own emotions will not be effective at dealing with and processing or protecting yours. Let me let that sink in for a moment. People who aren't in touch with their emotions will not be effective at dealing with, processing, or protecting your emotions. They'll think you're overreactive. They think you are overthinking. They think you're making a big deal out of nothing. And so it's important when you are nurturing relationships that you tap into understanding each other's language. I know what you said, but what did you mean by that? Because when I say this, I mean something different, right? And so you don't have to mean what I mean, what you say, but we do have to understand what we mean when we say it, right? And so you have to get on a path where you're able to discern and hear and understand the language that your partner has, because the truth of the matter is happy relationships are ones where your partner wants, needs, and deserves to hear you and to be heard. And they want to feel connected with you. They want to feel supported by you. They want to feel valued by you, right? No one wants to be relegated to the background, right? No one wants to feel like they're unimportant in the scheme of your life, because the reality of it is, why am I in your life if you don't regard me as important? The challenge is we have a lot of people who are emotionally unavailable. They will make you feel ignored, make you feel insignificant, make you feel inadequate, right? And so you have to safeguard your mind, your spirit, your headspace, and say, once I recognize that you're emotionally unavailable, that you will never be able to give me what it is that I actually need to have a fruitful, functioning, fulfilling relationship, then I have to make the hard call and disconnect myself from it, or else I'm in jeopardy of plummeting into a place of emotional sabotage that, again, it will take who knows how long for me to recover from. Let me say this to you, that when you're in a relationship, ladies and gentlemen, you deserve to feel secure, you deserve to feel valued, and for your partner to be attentive to you. Please do not take the criticism about your what you feel to be a reasonable emotional need to heart. Some people just don't possess the capacity to love you at the level that you need. That's just the bottom line, right? Some people do not have the capacity to love you the way you need to be loved. It doesn't matter how much you want them. It doesn't matter. Because what I found out a long time ago is that just because they want you doesn't mean they deserve you. Just because they desire you doesn't mean that they are a part of your destiny, that they are ordained and assigned to be a part of your life. I say it all the time. Just because you've been a part of my past doesn't qualify you to go into my future. And so you have to be able to instill into your life some qualifying factors for people to gain access and to have interest into your life, and particularly to be able to have access to your heart. One of the things that you should ask yourself when trying to determine how emotionally unavailable your partner is, or your potential interest is do you feel supported by them? Right? Is it just all about them? Do we just make a big deal about you, but we don't about me? Do you feel like you're understood? Right? Do you feel they just casually nod and say, okay, but they don't really get it. They don't see you. They're looking at you, but they don't see you. Man, there's no feeling like that when they're looking at you, but they don't have a clue as to who you are. Sitting across the table from you, eating breakfast, but they have no idea who you are. You have to ask yourself, are they really interested in my life? Do they take the time? They would say, well, how was your day? How do you feel? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel overworked? Do you need some relaxation time? Right? Because these are some things you need to ask them to determine their emotional posture, how available they are to you. Because all of us need people in our lives, particularly if it's a relationship. You need them to have a depth of emotional availability, right? Because the world dishes out so much, your job dishes out so much, your family dishes out so much. So you have to be able to come together with that person that you are meant to be with, and know that whatever emotion you're on the range of emotions, on the wide spectrum of the emotional gamut, that wherever you fall at, that person can be available for you. If you're sad, they're available to absorb the sadness. If you're hurting, they're available, they're present enough to absorb the hurt. If you are confused, they're emotionally available enough to help you navigate through those times in your life that you don't know how you're going to come out, just overwhelmed. You got to have a person, if you're going to have any emotional depth in the relationship, then they have to be able to meet you wherever you are on the wide spectrum of the emotional gambit, right? Because otherwise you feel alone, you feel dejected, you feel like, well, I can't talk to them, I got to find somebody else to talk to, when the whole reasoning for this relationship is to envelop within it is pretty much everything you would need. Not that you don't have friends, and not that you don't have girlfriends you talk to about various things, but in the wide scope of things, this is the person that I'm going to share my life with the next 30, 40, 50 years, right? And so while others come and go, this person is supposed to be the one consistent factor in my life. And so I had better spend the time now investing in this, molding the relationship, modifying what I need to modify, because you both have to modify something, right? If you're on the other end pointing your finger at them as if you're the perfect one, that is a detachment from reality that you have to fix right now, because no one in any relationship is perfect. But when both of you want the best for each other, and you are determined to have a relationship that is not filled with bitterness and fighting and discontent and turmoil, and it's just a taxing thing. You don't want to be in a relationship with somebody that you just dread coming home to. You want to be in a relationship with somebody that you can't wait. You're hoping you can get off early today. You're hoping traffic is not backed up because you really want to get to them. And you're attracted to everything about them. You're not just rushing to them for the physical rush or the sexual intimacy or the touch. You're getting to them because you want to talk to them. You've been waiting all day. So I can't wait to get home so I could talk to him, run this by him, get his take on it, get her opinion on it, see what she says about it. Because, yeah, there are other people on the planet, but that's that voice right there that you need, that voice you count on to provide validation, acceptance, acknowledgement. 100 people can tell you did good, but it's something about hearing it from them that does everything in the world to you, right? And so you have to have people in your life, your partners, your wife, your husband, that have a depth of emotional range in order to handle all of the emotional states that you might find yourself in. And so I want to tell you this day that if you're in a place where you're not so sure where the person stands, you haven't been getting the respect you need or that you're due, you haven't been getting the recognition that you're due, you haven't been being heard, acknowledged, it means that you have a little homework to do. It means that you have to really call yourself to the carpet and say, how much longer can I keep living life with emotionally unavailable people? It's frustrating to the core. But you have to make that determination in this season of your life. Let me tell you, you deserve to be loved off the chart. You are amazing. You are phenomenal beyond definition. You are an amazing individual who deserves another amazing individual. Like, life is too short to settle and to shortchange yourself. When you know that you are bringing something to the table, something of value and significance, then you have a right to want what you want and to live the kind of life that you want to live. But on this day, I wanted to kind of give you this bonus session. It was amazing. All this afternoon, I got email after email after email, and questions, literally about 78 questions concerning this emotional unavailability. And I said, well, let me come back. Let me close this session out with this bonus session. So I hope this has helped you. I hope that you've gleaned something from it. I hope that it will be a source of therapy, a source of counsel for you. You can't get into my office now, and I can't sit across the desk from you in person. But I want you to hear this. I want you to go back, replay, rehearse it, get the principles. But getting the principle does you no good if you don't apply them and implement them and execute them, so that your life begins to become more fruitful than it's ever been. All right.
Well, I don't want to assume every one of you who are watching me on this day are saved. You're saved, your family's saved, your friends are saved. I want to offer you the opportunity to receive Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. He's available to you right now. All you have to do, according to the scriptures, confess with your mouth and believe in your heart that God raised Jesus from the dead. And even now he's seated on the right hand of the Father, making intercession for you and me, even at this moment. And if I'm speaking to you, more importantly, the Holy Spirit is speaking to you, my brother, my sister, this is your opportunity to receive salvation. There's an email address right here at the bottom of your screen. I have staff standing on standby right now, ready to help you and further facilitate and assist you in your walk in salvation in Jesus Christ. Listen, heaven is rejoicing, and so am I, because now you are a part of the kingdom of God. Well, we're at the point in the service where every one of us can participate. That's right, you. Doesn't matter the city, the state, the zip code, the area code you are in. All of us from around the world can participate in our global giving experience. On today, first of all, I want you to return the Lord's tithe. It's simply a tenth of everything that God allows to come through your hand, as a sign of honor to him that recognizes that my own hands did not get this for me. It is because of your spirit and your strength that you've given me that I'm able to now take into my hand this kind of harvest. So I want you to prepare the Lord's tithe. Of course, the giving means are right here at the bottom of the screen. But then on today, I want everyone that's watching me, that will watch me, I want you to join me in our corporate seed. Our corporate seed here in our ministry is a $42 seed. It's a seed of double. It's a seed of restoration. It's a seed of significance and plenty coming to your home, your business. Everything you've assigned your faith for, that you need economic increase in any area of your life, this seed, if you release your faith for it, God's going to respond to it. So I need everyone that's watching me to get that $42 corporate seed in the ground now. Again, all the giving means are right here at the bottom of the screen. Find the one that's the most convenient for you and take advantage of it. Maybe you choose not to give electronically. There is a mailing address right there as well. At the bottom of your screen, get a stamp, get an envelope, get a money order, cashier's check, and get the seed in the ground. Because I believe that when you sow this $42 seed, it's going to rebuke scarcity, lack, and shortage, and abundance. It's on its way to your house. Keep giving. Well, I hope you have enjoyed the Lord with me on tonight as much as I have enjoyed ministering the Word of God to you. What an amazing privilege as always to have this opportunity to spend with you each and every Wednesday night right here, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. God always blesses us. He always shows up in a tremendous way. Don't forget to tell your family, your friends, and co-workers to make sure they tune in each and every Wednesday. They can catch us right here for the Word of God. Don't forget also, you can stay in touch with me. Make sure you are connected with me if you are not already on Facebook, on YouTube, on all of the social media platforms. Don't forget to go to henrybolden.com. You can actually sign up for my e-newsletter, get all information and updates on every single thing I'm doing. And because I want you to be a part of that, because we are absolutely family. And also don't forget, you can be a part of our in-person services. We are adhering to all restrictions that are in place now, hand sanitizing, temperature checks. We've created even more distance in the sanctuary so that you and your family are incredibly comfortable each and every Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. So if you're in New Orleans or even outside of New Orleans, why don't you make plans now to be my guest really soon? And I cannot wait to see you. All right. Well, I've got to go now. God knows I hate to leave you, but always, as I say in parting, always remember that things can change for you at any moment. I'll see you next time.